What's up everybody, I'm GMH Dane and I'm here to talk to you today about the Dewalt Flexvolt dust extractor. I've had this for some time now and I wanted to talk about the things I like, things I don't like. My review videos are not so much full specs all the time. I'm not going to go through and list all of those. If you watched a review video on this, you've probably already looked up the specs for these things online. So this is basically a hands-on review based on some things that I found that I like and that I don't like. So let's get to it. First things first, it is cordless. There is no corded backup to this thing at all. It runs off of the Flexvolt batteries. You cannot run Dewalt's 20-volt system on that. It is purely only a Flexvolt. So that means you get your 6.0, your 9.0, and your 12.0 batteries. The kits can come with the 6.0 battery. Usually you can sometimes find them with two 6.0s, or a place like Acme or something like that will be throwing in a free 6.0 depending on the time of year that you buy it. It's got a nice little set, it's click in, it's pretty easy to pop the battery in and out, plenty of space to fit the 12.0 in there, and yeah, that's basically it. With the 6.0, you don't get a lot of runtime with this thing. You get maybe 15-20 minutes worth of runtime of non-stop. So if you're doing a lot of on-off, you might get a little bit more, but it might take more power. It all depends on kind of what you're doing and how you're using it. That's probably my biggest gripe with this tool, is that this 6.0 that it is kitted with, you really don't get that much runtime to it. And with Dewalt's fast charger, it takes an hour to charge this for 15 minutes worth of runtime. Granted, a 9.0 and a 12.0 Flexvolt, you're going to get a much longer runtime. I have a couple 9.0s that I much rather prefer to run in this vacuum just because you get that longer runtime. Throughout the week, if I'm doing a small trim job, a small punch out, something like that, that 9.0 usually lasts the whole week for me for using it for smaller situations. I'm not going to use this vacuum all day, every day. That's not what this thing is meant for. If you're going to do that, you definitely want a corded extractor that's got a higher CFM, more adjustability to it, bigger storage, all of that. Obviously, you get the corded part there where you get a longer runtime. This is meant as your portable extraction option, which is pretty good at it. I believe Dewalt says it'll keep up by OSHA regs with a 5-inch grinder, grinding concrete, keeping up with the silicon dust regulations there. Don't quote me on it, sorry. A couple things that I absolutely love about it are, it's pretty lightweight. There's nothing here really. And obviously the wireless connection for the button, the on-off button. You have two modes of the switch here. You have a true on and off, and then you have your remote switch. It's pretty nice, it's pretty quiet, it's got plenty of suction for a small cordless vacuum. It has got Dewalt's, I forget what they call it, airlock system on it, which you can buy different adapters for. I believe there's 3 different adapters to it. You can do that, so that way you can plug this into Dewalt's tools. It's got the little ball bearings in there to kind of lock it in place. Or you can just simply unscrew this and get your own extension or adapter on there, because we all know how fun it is to get an extractor with the right adapter on it. Why can't there be a universal standard of this stuff? I don't know. Hopefully there is one day. It does have an 8-foot hose with nice little built-in bracket or holders down here for the hose. You got 2 up here, you got 2 on the back side. Somebody's made the comment before, I think on my initial review of this thing at the staff to show, is that it seemed like you get a small amount of storage for what you get up here. And that is true. It's a 2-gallon extractor, which really isn't that big, but it depends on what you're extracting. Again, this is not meant as an all-day thing. If you've got to be filling this thing up multiple times a day, you probably shouldn't be using this vacuum. Sorry, extractor. The 8-foot hose is nice. It allows you to keep this on the ground and get up nice and high, or down low, or far away. I have this usually set up in between my miter saw and my table saw, where I can easily swap between the two, and I just keep this on my wrist. That way I can use it freely on whatever tool that I'm using. There's plenty of ease of use to this thing as well. You got 4 clasps on the front and the back, and then you get your storage. So you can see I've been using this out the supplied bag, which I'm going to get into. right now. They supply you with a fleece bag. To me, this thing is an absolute waste of time. It's just my opinion. The way this thing clicks in is you have it here, and then you got your little port here, and the vacuum extractor blows it in from the corner here. So you have this laying flat and on an angle, which creates a pinch point right here. I've had this vacuum extractor clog up a few times, actually more than a few, when I was running this bag. It has good extraction though, because I got plenty of stuff in this bag. Basically, I kept this around for review purposes, because once I got sick of filling it up or unclogging it all the time, I'm just throwing this out and I'm done with it. Because the way you have a square bag to go in a round hole. It doesn't make any sense to me. I wish Dewalt would have put a little bit more thought into this bag and how it was utilized as well as fits in here, because you're cutting off the corners, you're losing space in your collection bin here, but it's just my opinion. I'm not a fan of this. Depends on what you're doing, it might be more worth it. You got two different bags, two different filters on the bottom here. Simple kind of turn and unclick these things. Just like that, nothing special, they're not that big. But it is an OSHA approved dust extractor, so these are HEPA filters. They work, they do their job, and in a minute I will get this thing running where you can hear the self-cleaning mechanism, which is one of the downsides of what this is. When it goes through its self-cleaning situation, it does not maintain suction through that self-cleaning. I don't really, actually, I'll do this later after for my close-up video. But while it's running, it has a pretty good extraction, has plenty of power. It does that on a timed interval. It is not set to how much the filters are clogged. It's going to do that, I think, every 20 or 30 seconds. I forget what it is. I haven't found anything in there that says it's going to do it based on how dirty the filters are. But it does a pretty good job of cleaning the filter. I filled this tank all the way and it still maintained its suction. Downside is kind of where I showed you before. I don't know why I closed it. Is where this port comes in. You get some larger items, it makes this huge 90-degree turn here where things can kind of get clogged in there. If they would have brought this straight into here, it would have had a little bit better suction. I don't know if there's a design reason to why it does that. I don't know. But yeah, that's that. Overall, I'm pretty impressed with this thing. It's not cheap at $349, I believe it is, or $399, depending on where you get it. Best idea is to always get it when you can get a second battery with it for free, as well as a charger on it. For a guy like me, where I'm doing smaller jobs on a daily basis, if I'm doing a punch list thing, if I'm going to trim out something small or just do a few pieces here and there, more than I need. It does everything I need it to do and then some. I'm not going to pull up my huge dedicated extractor for something small, because this is portable. I can easily take it with me. I know Dewalt makes plenty of different accessories for this as well, where you can get some wands to it or whatever and use it to vacuum the floors or whatever you want to do with it. But as a project manager, as a carpenter, as an expediter, this has done the job that I needed to do. This is the Dewalt Flexvolt extractor. Check it out. It's for sale pretty much everywhere. Hopefully you guys like this view. If you do, like it, subscribe, whatever. These are kind of just raw, me talking into my phone videos. So tell me what you like, what you don't like. Any questions, I'll try and answer them in the comments. Thanks, guys. So here we have the Dewalt Flexvolt extractor, and I just dumped some of this stuff out from the canister inside of it. And what I want to show you is the suction capability of it. I got the small adapter on there. I like that because it just seems to pick stuff up a little bit better. So sucked it all up, no issue there at all. Pretty good little vacuum. Sorry, Extractor.